Hello and welcome to your First Steps Into Rocketry. When you first get into rocketry, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what rocket should I use? There are a lot of rockets available. They start from the smallest low-power kit to the biggest high-power kit. These rockets come in a variety of shapes and sizes. You can start with something like the Estes Athena that you simply take out of the box, attach the parachute, and you're ready to fly, all the way up to this Lock Patriot 4-inch high-power rocket, which requires significant construction, painting, as well as certification in order to fly. Where you start is up to you. You can start with something historical, such as the Estes Falcon 9. You can start with something fantastical, such as this Nova Rocketry +1 Mesa Flying. You can even start with something that takes a clustered motor, such as this Andromeda that takes 4 motors at once. What we recommend is to go with a tried and true kit, such as an Estes kit, the Estes Big Bertha, the Estes Crossfire ISX, the Estes Baby Bertha. This is just a smaller version of the Big Bertha. And you can go with the factory paint or you can make it your own. We have turned this Baby Bertha into the White Dwarf and the Space Pickle. And you might say, well, these rockets aren't as impressive as the larger ones. Well, let me tell you, these smaller rockets, the Estes Space Pickle and the Estes White Dwarf, have flown at our local park. They have flown at our local club launches in front of dozens of people, and they have flown at international launches like LDRS in front of hundreds of people. So these little rockets will hold their own, because after all we want to do is see them go up in the air and watch how magnificent their flight is. Now let's go ahead and get started with rockets that are ideal for the beginner rocketeer. So here we are at the very beginning. The 2 sets that we recommend for the beginner rocketeer are the Estes Athena and the Tandem X launch set. The Estes Athena requires no building. It comes out of the box just like this, and all you have to do is attach the parachute. And we will show shortly how to attach a parachute to this rocket.
To attach the parachute, simply open it up and gather up the shroud lines. Pull the chute tight to ensure that they are all at equal tension. Then just pass the loop through the eyelet on the nose cone. Making an opening in the loop, pass the parachute through that opening and pull it tight to ensure that all of the lines remain equal length.
Once you've got the parachute on, all of the painting is done. All of the decals are done. It's ready to go out to your park and be launched. The next step up would be a system like the Tandem X launch set that includes 2 rockets. We're going to highlight the Crossfire ISX. This rocket requires basic construction. When you get it, it's simply a cardboard tube, a plastic nose cone, and 3 balsa wood fins. This requires sanding and requires glue, typically wood glue, to attach the fins to the cardboard. It also requires painting. In this case, it was 2 colors, white and red on this transition cone and the nose cone. The black stripe here, as well as the decals, are simply applied after the paint is dry. The launch set is significant in that it also includes a launch pad, which we will cover in a future video. But either of these 2 sets would set up the beginner rocketeer for a long career in rocketry. Whether you are young or old, this is a fantastic start, because you get a rocket either straight out of the box or you get to try your hand at rocket construction. And construction is a big part of the hobby, and one of the more fulfilling parts of being into rocketry is making a rocket your own, of putting your own finishing touches on your rocket. For most low-power construction kits, you will need basic supplies. For this Crossfire ISX, for example, you will need yellow glue or wood glue. You will need a hobby knife. You will need a ruler. You will need a pencil. You will need sandpaper And you will actually need scissors. Let me go over what each of these parts is for. The ruler is for marking lines on the body tubes to ensure that you have everything in the correct place. The hobby knife we use to cut out the fins, which are balsa wood, which we then sand, not only all the surfaces of the fins, but we put a bevel on the fins so that they are more aerodynamic, and this will be covered in your kit's instructions. We use the super glue in rare instances. In the case of this rocket, we use the super glue to attach some of these plastic components to the cardboard tubes, as wood glue wouldn't be sufficient in our estimation. Once you have your items assembled, a small cut-proof map is essential so that you don't cut into your table. Ask me how I know. Once you have this ready, you're ready to begin construction. Follow the instructions step by step. Estes kits, for example, provide incredibly detailed instructions that not only tell you what needs to be done, but has illustrations to show you exactly where to cut, where to measure, and how to build your rocket. A rocket such as the Crossfire ISX may take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on your construction ability and how fast you allow the glue to dry. The instructions will recommend allowing the glue to dry completely before moving on, and this is important so that nothing is accidentally misaligned or bumped out of place. But for a basic kit such as the Crossfire ISX, all you need is some enthusiasm, a little spare time, and a lot of creativity. Another great rocket kit for the beginner is the Estes Patriot. Here we have one already assembled, and here we have one in the bag, unopened. Let's take a look and see what comes inside the kit. This is an intermediate kit, just like the Crossfire ISX. This is what you will expect to find in a rocket that requires basic construction. Upon opening the kit, you will find several large cardboard tubes. You will also find a plastic nose cone. You will find things called couplers. These won't be in the Crossfire kit, but in the Patriot kit, they allow you to take two of the larger white tubes and put them together to make a larger tube. You will find a sheet of balsa wood fins. You will also find small cardboard rings, a metal hook, as well as recovery equipment. In this case, it has a parachute and an elastic shock cord, which absorbs the shock as the ejection charge of the motor goes off to allow the parachute to come out gently. Lay some of these parts out here. Here's the elastic shock cord. Here's the sheet of balsa wood fins. You want to take sandpaper and sand the top and the bottom, and then take a hobby knife and cut through these pre-cut marks. This will release the fins. There's small tabs holding them in place, and then sand each fin individually. There will be a motor tube. This is the tube that the motor goes into. This will then have special cardboard rings that allow this to be mounted inside the main tube. Here is a sheet of those cardboard rings. Sometimes these need to be sanded as well. You needn't sand the top and bottom, but after you remove them, you want to sand around the outside edges to make sure that they will slide easily inside of this tube. The parachute or streamer is standard with all Estes kits. You will also receive detailed instructions with illustrations. Simply follow the instructions for an easy build. It will include measurement marks. It will include which type of adhesive you will need. In this case, it's wood glue. A pro tip is to take sandpaper and sand your body tubes. Where these fins attach to the tube, there's a shiny coating on these tubes, and if you remove that with just a few strokes of sandpaper, the balsa wood fins will bind and adhere to the tube, making a stronger joint than if you try to adhere it onto the tube without sanding. There will also be a sheet of decals that you can attach to create an effective and attractive rocket. Of course, you are free to paint and design the rocket as you would. When it's constructed, it's a blank canvas. This kit here, we're going to paint to look like the big 4-inch Patriot that was in the beginning part of this video. but this is the standard paint design. So the choice is yours, how you want your rocket to look. If you're new to rocketry and would like to obtain any of the kits that we have showcased today, such as the Athena, the Crossfire ISX or the Tandem X launch set, the Patriot, or other rockets, please be sure to use our affiliate link or to use our discount code at Estes. Use the code APEX to save 10% on your order. I want to thank you for watching this first episode of First Steps Into Rocketry. Now it's your turn. Go and choose a rocket, build it, and in the next video we'll talk about motors. What makes your rocket go from the ground up into the sky? We'll talk about how to select a motor, how to insert a motor into the rocket, and the other piece of equipment that's vitally important, which is the igniter. We'll also talk about ejection wadding, which is used to protect your parachute during launch. So be sure to follow us, like, and subscribe for more information, and we'll see you out at the park.